My name is Octavius Jones, and I am a returned Peace Corps volunteer from Botswana, which is in southern Africa. I served from 2011 to 2014, which is 3 years. I extended an extra year. Usually Peace Corps is 27 months, but I loved it so much that I stayed on the extra year and got some really great experience. And I just wanted to create a video to talk to friends and family of those who are interested in joining the Peace Corps. And then also just a call to action too, to say just how important it is to have a support system here in America when you do go abroad, whether it be for Peace Corps or study abroad or any other opportunities. And just how it can be a wonderful thing for not only that person who's leaving the country, but everyone else in their community. One thing that I kind of longed for during my service and didn't necessarily have at first was a support system. So to a certain extent, I didn't have friends and family that I could turn to who were in a place to either help me financially if I ever needed it, or in terms of my family, who were really there in case I had a problem, who wouldn't say, well, come home. Who would say, you know, stick it out and support me in my decision to stay in country despite any issues I was facing. And I would see how, for other volunteers who did have that, a strong family and friend network back home in America, who would listen to issues and problems but not freak out, and who would understand that just like going off to college the first time, or starting a new job, or moving to a new city, that those are the growing pains, one of growing up, but two of being in a new experience. And just helping and supporting and letting them know that they could make it, and they could figure it out, and they could lean on the people within that country and be advocates for themselves to make sure that they were getting the support that they needed during their service. And the volunteers who were able to get that and able to have those type of relationships with friends and family back home, they did very, very well. For myself, as my time within Peace Corps grew and I started building a network with other RPCVs, one in my country, but then two in other surrounding countries too, I found that I was a part of this really big family and network of people where the friends that I had stayed with who had come in years before me into the country of Botswana, when they left to go back home, they would send me and other volunteers care packages of food that we loved, or socks, or a USB stick with new movies or TV shows, so that we could help pass the time. And little things like that really were really wonderful and supportive, and helped those who were living in country through times of boredom or stress, or not feeling up to the task of maybe completing their service. So things like that are really, really important. So things like sending letters, sending care packages, just being there for a weekly or monthly phone call. Those things let those back in America know that their loved one was doing well, and that they could be a part of their life even though they couldn't be there physically all the time. And it really helped to keep a bond. So if you're afraid that you will lose a bond with your loved one while they're serving, there's a plethora of avenues in which you can take to stay connected with that volunteer. And not just personally as well, there's opportunities, and I've heard many stories and have many friends who served in Peace Corps, where their parents are family members, their church, their work group would volunteer and send their school supplies or send their community certain things that they needed. They would be pen pals for community members or children where the volunteer was serving in. And what's been great is that some volunteers have been able to bridge both their families and their communities across continents. So we have parents who will correspond with their child, host parents within the country, and that they know each other. And sometimes if there's an opportunity, the parents of the volunteer will come out and visit, the host parents, and say thank you, for taking care of my child, and just getting to know each other. and having that relationship be one that lasts many years after the person returns back home to the U.S. Some people still correspond with their family members, whether it be their host parents, or the brothers, the sisters, the cousins, the grandparents that they grew to love, who became their support system while they served within Peace Corps. So Peace Corps is this great network of people with volunteers, with Peace Corps staff who is trained within the country, and then just community members that you meet, as well as other international people. There's many international organizations that are doing great work around the world. So I got the opportunity to meet people from Japan, from Canada, from Germany, all doing their own version of Peace Corps, and they too became a support system for me. So in that sense, there was never a time where I was forced to be alone in Peace Corps. There was never a time, even though I didn't have the support systems and networks that some volunteers had back home, that I couldn't lean on someone, whether that was another Peace Corps volunteer, a staff member, or someone in my community.